Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Freedom Radio Hour. I'm your host, Adam Cruz, and I'm here with my fantastic co-host right here,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of 91.6 FM Freedom Radio, y'all. I'm here with this gentleman here, you know, the one who knows it all, sees it all, and passes on the information.
That I do.
What's going on, sir, in the world of music, news, and all those other wonderful things?
We need to talk about it. We will be discussing spies
Ooh.
on this episode.
Spies.
And we'll be discussing Billboard charts.
Okay.
And we will be discussing our dear friends in the super talented 95 North.
Yes,
So
indeed.
let's jump right out forward to let our listeners and our viewers know that the Freedom Radio Hour is here, not only giving you fantastic music, but we're here to be your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. As my buddy said, we are here live on Capital Radio and on the web at dwildmusicradio.com. All right, so you know, like when you go on Facebook or certain social media sites and you click like on a product or comment under a product, chances are that the next time you visit your Facebook page, you will see ads
on the side
of these products that you know that you may have liked or commented about or referenced. And that's kind of easy to figure out. You know, that's Facebook doing what's called targeted ads, using keywords like the product name to then filter an ad through based on that. Not too hard to figure out, right? But now, have you ever had a moment, tell me the truth, maybe you haven't. My spouse has experienced this, where she has had a conversation in person, you and I like sitting here, the phone's nearby, maybe it's over there, right? And you guys are going back and forth, and then maybe later she goes on her Facebook account and she sees a reference to a product that was discussed that has nothing to do via phone or liking something online. Have you ever had that happen where something that you've discussed or mentioned in a conversation ends up on Facebook in terms of ads or other social media accounts? Does that ever happen to you?
Not during a private conversation, but I can see something like that happening, especially with the sensitivity of many of these telephones nowadays. And that little Google search, that voice recognition and all of that. And phones are designed to voice recognize. So who's to say that in that conversation you set your phone down and that app automatically turned on and boom, there it is.
Well, this might not have happened to you, but this has been happening a lot with several users, to the point where the issue has come up in a very recent web summit. A technology conference was held in Lisbon, Portugal. Can you imagine? We need to go out to Lisbon, Portugal to attend these fancy conferences, right? So anyway, at this conference, the question to Facebook was, are you recording us? In other words, is this true, what I've just described to you? This notion that you're being monitored and the audio is being recognized and then being manifested into an ad. And Facebook said, absolutely not. We're not engaging in any of that.
I don't think that they personally are.
But what's happening is people are really experiencing this. It's not like some myth out. Even my own spouse has attested to having this experience. You know, I find it fascinating. They did say that, look, we have these algorithms to the point where it's almost an exact science. Anytime there's some reference or even like a profile of, think about it, if you might fit a profile of a bunch of other kinds of users.
And who's to say, you know, again, that in a previous text that was sent out by one of them discussing those very things, that in that text, some have that, like you said, those rhythms and those
algorithms. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you a couple of things you can be, at least to take action about this. If there's something that sits uneasily, as it makes you feel uneasy, there's a couple things you can do. One is you can go on to your privacy settings within Facebook, and you can basically, we posted it on freedomradiohour.com. Follow the prompts and it'll show you what advertisers know about you based on this setting, and you can elect to remove that or minimize advertisers being able to see this information about you, right? That's definitely one thing you can do. The second thing you can do is, you know that when you sign up for a lot of these kinds of, Facebook has a messenger, another thing, like you said, voice recognition. Before that happens, you have to allow access to the microphone within your phone for it to work. So know that if you're saying, yes, I allow you having access to my microphone from my phone,
you also have to turn it on.
Right.
Because again, what I see now when you're being prompted, it will ask you, do you allow such and such to have access to
and we don't think
D, E, F, and G?
Yes, you don't think oftentimes you go yes because you want to just handle a task or do what you wanted to do, right? So just the point here is be a little bit more vigilant about when you're okaying having Facebook and other social media sites having access to in terms of your profile, and also more intimate stuff, like you said, possibly text. All this stuff now, you can sign in using your Facebook login credentials. You don't even need to have like a special account anymore. Now you can sign in using Google or Facebook, and
they
oftentimes
all link together. They find each other.
And that's Facebook's point. They're like, look, we're not engaging in this. Think of the outcry. Right now, Facebook is in a lot of trouble because of the allegations around our current U.S. election and Facebook's possible involvement by virtue of allowing Russians to buy ads on Facebook to promote false news and false information about opponents. So I think it's important that this happened to Facebook, but for sure, the outcry, if this was actually true, would be crazy because it really would speak to more like spying. And this is not what Facebook is trying to do. But don't underestimate the power of you okaying things along the way and mentioning things that are all linked together. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down more of this music business news and trends right here on the Freedom Radio Hour.
That's right, 1984 happening in 2017.
So you think that out, yeah? I agree sometimes. All right, let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Freedom Radio Hour. Live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM.
What up, beautiful people, and welcome back to 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of Sedan and D-Wild Music Radio. We are so glad that you decided to come back and join us. And I'm here with my cohort, the one and only Mr. Adam Cruz. What's up, sir?
Wow, this is like the first time you usually go, Mr.
I know.
I love the switch up.
My little flow was going. So.
Well, we're here delivering that music business news and trends from around the globe. We're your number one source right here on the Freedom Radio Hour. Before we broke, we were talking about some of the targeted ads that are happening with Facebook and some of the allegations. We're also jumping forward and try to see how some of these other giants are jumping in terms of gaining some influence, because that's what this is really about. Does Facebook and social media, is their influence growing over time? By virtue of folks getting access to all of this information about you, how much influence do they have in your shopping and your sentiments? Because if you're being flooded with the things you like or have interest in, there's going to be this over time, this feeling like they're influencing what your habits are online. Would you not agree with that?
And you know, it's all twofold, because not only are you receiving information, but we as purveyors and supporters, we give out a lot of information.
We do.
It's, what do we want people to know? What do we want to get back? What do we want to know? So Pandora's box has opened up.
It's true.
It's out there. So, and like I've said before to other people, the reportedly news is now taking news from sources such as Facebook,
right?
And other social media outlets.
Which means that their power and influence will build and grow over time, because you're right. Nowadays, Facebook has become a central place, like a Google search engine or something like that. That becomes your main source of news, and we have to be careful, because oftentimes the news that you're reading is fake or custom made for you to do to click through so that they make money. And I've been a victim of that.
And that's the other thing too. You hit it because some of these or companies, they make money on the amount of clicks and likes that they get based on the content that is being given.
Well, speaking of clicks and likes, this is the perfect segue, because YouTube is trying to build their own influence with the charts. We're artists here, Eddie and I. Besides being on-air personalities on this show or DJs and hosts and things, we also are artists. We write and perform our own material. And so many of artists like us, I don't know about you, but for me, one of my bucket lists for life is to be included on the Billboard charts for one of my songs. I think that would be a huge accomplishment for me, right? But nowadays, and we've discussed this in way back in prior episodes about how the number one hit, the facade of the number one hit single that you might aspire towards is changing because they're including information in that number one hit math that's not really true. What I mean is in the advent of streaming has now they've argued that streaming counts should be included in the record so that it builds a person's number one status. So say a Britney Spears or Pink or whoever, Lady Gaga, she has a number one hit because they've added the downloads, the physical sales of the product, as well as the stream counts. So over time, basically someone in a boardroom said, we're going to take a fraction of that stream to make it we're going to see if we can include it in that way so it doesn't have equal value as a physical thing. But even that is not really true. So becomes this fake feeling around number one hit music right now. So today, they're arguing that Billboard has said that they have a new policy, and I think this is a good debate to have, that in 2018, Billboard will no longer place value on YouTube counts. So like an album stream counts or video stream counts, they're not counting it towards the chart position. Well, they're going to do that all across the board with all the rest of them? Well, you have to think about it. We're talking physical products. So the moment you buy a vinyl or CD or you download, they are at placing equal value on those things. But when it comes to stream counts like from YouTube, they're saying as of 2018 will not have that equal footing like the other like the number just because it was played a million times is not going to be. It's not going to be a million, right? Because a million people you may have played it, but a million people did not purchase it. Well, some of the biggest arguments about why they feel this way is that, like Facebook and the other things, these numbers can be manipulated. Yes. So they're not true indicators sometimes. That's why we have to be very careful when we sign on to these sort of new things as ways to assess our popularity because that could be fixed, rigged, or boosted in some other way. The data can be changed. Yeah, you do a simple Google search for paying into upping your clicks and likes and all that. There's outfits that'll easily take your money to work and do their magic to boost. Facebook does it. And it's all in an effort to make money. So what Billboard, I think, is correct in saying as of 2018, we're not going to be placing this kind of value on streams like we might have done before. But I argue that I don't know if they should have done it to begin with because of this reason, how easily it can be manipulated. And it changes the way we view number one hits. Well, again, it's just another way for people to be able to say we want to attach another dollar figure to it because it creates jobs. Yes, it does. It creates jobs. It creates work for people to do. And somebody got to be paid. Well, Billboard started in January of 1936. By July 1940, Billboard had issued its first what they call music popularity chart, right? But by 1958, all these charts spawned other charts, and they consolidated them. So by 1958, they had the first top 100. So it's like they too have adjusted with time, and I could see them wanting to continue in this effort. But they've been around so long that they should know better than to go with a platform that's not like the traditional modes that they can assess through Nielsen scans and stuff. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to break down more of this music business news. Where? 91.6 FM, the heartbeat of today. And DWOPmusicradio.com. Come back with us. Please do.
Freedom Radio Hour.
And we're back live on Capital Radio 91.6 FM and on the web at DWOPmusicradio.com. You're deep in the zone right here on the Freedom Radio Hour. We're your number one source for music business news and trends from around the globe. I'm sitting here with my fantastic partner,
Eddie Nicholas. What up, beautiful people, and welcome back.
Yes. So we got to jump right in and give a big shout out on this segment to one of our dear friends and very talented producers who are celebrating 25 years in house music. Props. On the Freedom Radio Hour, we love our house music. So one of our favorites is this duo, Doug Smith and Richard Payton. They go by 95 North. Yes, 95 North. We had to go 95 South to visit 95 North. Yes. And you know why? Because they have their origins at UVA, University of Virginia, here in the States. They met through college, and by 1989 they started working. But they've had a bunch of different names, Doug and Rich. Yes, they're known as 95 North, but they've also been known as Scram. Did you know that? They're also known as Johnny Corporate. Okay. Because they have one of the biggest records, Sunday Shouting. If you guys know that. If not, we have been taking the time to play a nice mix of a lot of their music so you can get a flair for what they sound like. But anyway, this group has played under many names. The Hooligans is another name. Anyway, they're out of, they met in UVA, but they gained popularity starting in D.C., Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. And then they took over the globe with these records. So I love that
Strictly
Eddie and
Rhythm
I.
Records and all of that, yes.
And so their very first record, as Scram, was on Strictly. But it's funny that Strictly owned the name Scram, and it was the very first record that ever came up under that name was not Doug and Rich. And I just learned this recently. But because Strictly had that name, when it came to the next time, they said, you two, you're going to be known as Scram now, and you guys do these records. So it's funny how the record label was able to shape even your name like that so quickly. Anyhow, then they started to use other names. But it's funny that Eddie and I personally have experience with 95 North, so we wanted to share that in this segment. So what's your connection to Doug and Rich?
My connection was living in Richmond, Virginia. And I did some work with the recording artist Philip Ramirez.
Yep.
He went on the Apollo and won the Apollo and all that. And he was there, and we met. Me being from the New York, New Jersey area, he knew that I sang and aspired to want to do a couple of club cuts. So he pulled me in to do a track with him. From that track, it led to him getting a phone call from 95 North, who he had worked with. We did the record "See the Light."
Okay,
Philip Ramirez. And from that phone call, 95 North needed background singers.
Right. Okay.
And myself, Michael Braxton, and Carla Brown were invited up.
Shout out to Carla Brown.
To Doug and Richard's place to record. And that's where we met Mijan, and we recorded the classic "All Right."
Wow.
Now, mind you, all three of us in this little closet,
right,
with earphones on, the music banging, singing our little hearts out underneath stairs.
Right.
We not only did that once, but we did it on another cut called "Save Your Soul."
I love those records.
Again, that was by Mijan. So I had the opportunity to sing 3 songs with 95 North as a background singer.
Right.
So, that's my experience, and it was a wonderful one because when you go back and you laugh and you make jokes of how you did it, but then when you see the final product,
yes,
and you see
amazing.
how people love it,
yes.
And when I first went out and I was up in the city and I heard it on the New York dance floor, again, like you said, it was amazing because Mijan was killing that lead vocal, but baby, man, shout out to all background singers because we hold it down. So my experience was as a background singer with 95 North. Man, props.
So my experience is in the summer of 1997. I left. I went to Washington D.C. to intern. I was trying to intern or temp work for a semester while I was in college. So I went down there. I happened to be in the same summer as the whole Monica Lewinsky thing was going down, and the government was shut down. Anyway, D.C. was alive and popping during that time. And I got a temporary job at the World Bank. I work at the library department in the basement, KN 21st. I will report there every day. But then in the evenings, I would go to, I think it was called the Record Hut, or I forgot the name. But I used to look for records, being a DJ. And then I started to go to the clubs and almost instantly met Doug and Rich, 95 North, at a place called The Bank. It was very huge, and it was the first time I heard "It's All Right, I Feel It," Eureka Soul. It was a great time. Anyway,
and it was actually a bank.
Yeah, it was a bank. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where we met, him and a bunch of other friends. Anyhow, we started to go to his weekly Red party at Club Red in D.C., and I was lucky enough to be invited to play and open for him. And then him and Rich were very popular. They were traveling around Italy. This is then in the heyday of their career as producers. And so my buddy and I, Monsef Belyamani, shout out to you, Monsef, and I played during this time they were away at Club Red, and I played there several times since. It's a very special place in my heart. So Doug and Rich and I have known each other for a long time, at least since 1997.
And I'm really surprised that you and I never crossed paths.
Never.
Because I recorded with them in 95, 96. prior.
Right, but I was strictly in the DC area, so if you were like in Richmond and that, if not Jersey, then we wouldn't cross paths, Anyway, that's all the time we have for today. We wanted to shout out 95 North. We're doing our thing to go visit them. They're having a big function down in DC to celebrate their 25 years.
Yes, 25 years.
Search them out on YouTube and just a simple Google search of 95 North Productions. Doug Smith, Richard Payton, mad love and respect.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, check out EddieNicholas.com, DJAdamCruz.com for our respective fantastic music. Leave a comment under everything we're posting at FreedomRadioHour.com. And of course, pick up our free app for Android and iPhone users. Search us out, Freedom Radio Hour. Free episodes on YouTube. Follow us there, YouTube.com/Freedom Radio Hour. Have a good weekend and a good week ahead. See you next time. Peace.
Peace and love. 91.6 FM and DWildMusicRadio.com.